Well, it's a beautiful afternoon here on Friday the 8th of February, and I'm just turning around to look at the clock. It's 10 minutes to 1. Storm Eric is apparently raging over the west coast of Ireland. I'm about 20 miles or so from the west coast, from the Atlantic Ocean, and there was a bit of wind this morning and quite a lot of rain yesterday, you know, because storms normally drive the rain in front of them. And the wind was quite strong this morning, but it was more going over the tops of the trees. There wasn't really a lot of movement on the ground. So whether that's the shelter at Bealtaine or whether that was the kind of, you know, velocity of the wind, I don't know. But I did go out this morning and I put lots and lots of food out for the birds. And Jack, as usual, when he hears a storm coming on, he really just didn't want to go out at all. It was quite clever because I think he was realising that with the storm comes danger and he could get hurt. Yeah. No, you've had your crackers. Don't be trying to fool me into giving you more. So I've spent the morning doing some housekeeping, and by housekeeping I mean dusting and sweeping and taking mats outside and giving them a bit of a beating outside. I've been beating up carpets and mats, doing a fair bit of hand washing. So I've got lots of clothes up there and some clothes on there. And I've also got some clothes on the little rack over there. I want to take you outside because it's now turning into quite a beautiful afternoon. You can just see the sun shining on so much out there. And there's so much life coming up now. I'm just going to pour my coffee first though. I lit the stove early this morning, so the kettle's boiling. This is going to be my second cup of coffee, but I think I've earned it. Just plunge it. There we go. So I'll give it a bit of a stir and then we'll go outside. I've been doing a lot of reading over the past week. I find reading very relaxing. And I've also been filling bags for the charity shop. I've got quite a big sack of stuff to take into the charity shop. I was just going through my winter clothes and seeing the stuff that I haven't really worn this winter. And then I've also got some clothes to take to the recycling. Anything that's cotton or wool, I put on my own compost heap if it's really, you know, not worth recycling. Ah, that's gorgeous. Now I've got my camera in my hand, got my coffee in my hand, my other hand. So we'll go outside. I want to close the door behind me because I want to keep the heat in the cottage. So you can hear the birds singing. Let me just back up now and close this door. he's watching, you see. He just loves coming out. There we go. Now, so there's lots and lots of flowers about to burst open on the euphorbia. This is one of the very first spring flowers to come out. And despite all the talk about the seasons being out of balance, I've been looking back in diaries, and this season is just spot on, the way that it's coming in. Now you'll find flowers are a little bit ahead in the more sheltered parts of the garden. So this is the ribes. And remember what I've always said about the ribes being such an important shrub to plant for the bees. Because there are some bees who, for one reason or another, will come out of hibernation a little bit early. And these are very heavily scented, these ribes. It's ribes sanguinum. They're very heavily scented, so they will attract the drowsy bee to them. Now, up here is ribes that I've allowed to grow almost as a small tree. And I've kind of cloud pruned it. So I've taken lots and lots of the growth from underneath, but I've let it all go to the top. Those flowers are going to be coming out quite early as well, I think. Got some more good growth here on the chives, so hopefully they won't be set back. And also there's the sedums coming through. Isn't that fabulous? The sage has held up well to the frost and the snow. And then this is a fantastic flower. I think many of you will know this. There's lots and lots of generic names for it. It's actually called in Latin Aquilegia. And the flowers are beautiful, but I think the foliage is beautiful as well. They're also referred to as Granny's Bonnet and I'm trying to think of the other name. Granny's Bonnet. What else are they referred to? Oh, you can put it in the comments underneath. So this is more ribes. I've got lots and lots of ribes across the gardens because they just grow easily from a cutting stuck in the ground. Now this is a sheltered little spot, look, and there's one of the flowers coming out. The flowers are beautiful. They're like big droplets. Now the wind is blowing about that cardboard that I didn't take round to the barn, but that's okay, it's nice and wet, that'll be easy to mulch with. So I'm looking at some new growth here on the rosemary. Can you see those little white dots there near the stem? That's the new growth coming out. And also some new growth there on the sedum, that's one of the sedums. Of course sedum is like a name for so many of the little succulents. So lots of geranium coming up there. And then because I let the Aquilegia self-seed, look, absolutely masses of the beautiful stuff coming up hither and thither all over the place. Now one of the photographs that I put on the website yesterday and also on the slideshow was of some narcissi. That's the tiny daffodils down amongst the trees. I keep aiming to try to plant more of those year on year. One of these autumns I'll get round to it. So the flowers on the quince, some of them have been frost damaged, but that's okay because there's lots and lots of them. So I don't think there'll be much of a loss on that. Lots of Aquilegia and geranium coming up here in the gravel. Again, it's wonderful to have gravel around your home because so much of what you allow to grow will self-seed. Because as I've always said, Mother Earth doesn't want anything else than to be simply allowed to be abundant. That's all she wants. All she wants to do is give. And we we stop her all the time, don't we? And there's no real reason why anyone needs to have tarmac around their home. It's very expensive. It doesn't allow for absorption of water, of rain. And I don't think it looks half as nice as the gravel. I think there's something very comforting about gravel. It's the sound of it, it's the look of it. I think it's the way it just seems so natural. Jack! He's just gone for a wee walk down the drive. Come on, you're coming over this way. He likes me to call him. So, lots and lots of pruning continues. I may have been quiet on social media this week, but I've been very, very active here in the gardens. And, you know, it's blessed work. I love it. So I've got masses more dogwood to bring down to the barn to put through the shredder, the chipper, whatever it's called. Can't agree on a name for it, but it's a great asset. And I've got lots more to cut, lots more to prune. So you can see where I've pruned here, and it just allows the light to come through. Now I've spent weeks and weeks getting so much of this done, and yet this is only just one small part of the woodland sanctuary. I think there are bits of it that I'll probably never get to. Just still, you can see, pruned all this as well. So lots and lots of the dogwood to shred. There's more of it here. The ground sounds very squelchy, doesn't it? See? Lots of it. Lots of buds coming through in the blackcurrant. Now the mulching, absolutely delighted with this, and I can't stress enough to you how easy this is and why it's worth investing in a little shredder. And the reason why I've chosen an electric one, because obviously, you know, if I'd got one powered by oil or whatever, petrol, diesel, whatever, I could have taken it to all parts of the garden. But I suppose number one was economics. I just didn't have the money for that kind of machine. Number two, I got my little shredder second hand. I bought it from someone who didn't think it was much good. But more than that, I mean, it's stationed over there in the barn, so I take things into the barn to shred. But when I look out one of the little windows at the barn, looking north, I can see the wind turbines on Kilronan Mountain. So I can see where the electricity is coming from, or where some of the electricity is being generated from. So I may not be able to afford a wind turbine myself, but I don't mind paying into a system that encourages wind energy. Because we don't have nuclear energy here in Ireland, of course, which is a blessing, I think. So anyway, this is the mulching. And you simply just lay down layers of cardboard. So if you really stack up the layers, you know, if you can put in 2 or 3 layers, that's good. And then just put your mulch down on the top. If you don't have a shredder, think of all the other things that you can put down, which is going to biodegrade. So you can see down here, I was clearing up the barn. So there's lots of straw. So you can put straw down. There's lots of straw and bits and pieces from the floor of the barn that I've put down there. And then lots of chippings, and then more chippings. So it won't take me too long to do the rest of this. I've got about half of it done. Oh, there's a little bit of wind now started up again. So again, you know, I suppose there would be some people who would look at Bealtaine Cottage and say, oh, that one woman couldn't have done all that. But you see, there are ways and means, and as I've often said, I may not have the brawn, but I've got the brains. So if you can figure out ways of getting things done and doing things that's going to make things happen a bit quicker for you. This is a very quick way of ensuring that you're not left with a whole bed full of weeds all summer. And yes, you can plant into it. So again, lots more pruning down along here. And I've left the ribes. I won't prune those until after the flowers have gone over, because there may be some very hungry bees who may need those ribes. So after I've had my coffee and loaded up this video, I'm going to be going down into the fairy wood, and there's a few branches of various trees that have sort of dropped a bit that I need to cut back, and then I'll be pulling all that wood up from the fairy wood and taking it over to the barn, chipping all the small branches and sawing up the big branch that will then do as logs. So I've got lots of willow here, and there's masses of willow over there that I've been pruning as well. So I need to get into that bed and pull it all out and sort it out. Now, into the tunnel. So I still have to get some oilcloth. Oh, it's quite warm. Oh, this is lovely. I still have to get some oilcloth for this table because, of course, the drip is still happening because, you know, with tunnels they will drip in very specific places. And I don't really want to move the table, and if I do, there'll probably be a drip on another part of it. So, yesterday I was in here washing. You can just see the bucket there. Washing some more of the panels. So I've only got 3 more panels left. And the reason why I didn't do those is because I had my laptop here on the table, and I was, as I spent about an hour and a half making that slideshow, and then it took about 2 hours to upload because I had to load it onto Movie, and then I had to load it from there onto YouTube. So I didn't want water to get anywhere near what I was doing. So that's why these 3 panels here are still waiting to be done. But you can see the rest. I mean, it's just fantastic, the difference that it makes, you know. So this, yesterday I think was quite a warm day in the tunnel. I need to get a bit more gravel, maybe just a few sacks of gravel, just to put down on this path, because there's quite a lot of water comes down through that area. But yes, this week has seen the beginning of the warming up of the tunnel, and it's lovely because it's filled with promise, you see. And one of the reasons why I've been working in here and doing this conversion from productive tunnel, you know, solely vegetables and whatnot, to a place of sanctuary is because I'm actually going to benefit hugely from it, in the same way as I would benefit from good homegrown vegetables. And of course I've got my beds over there which are nearer the cottage. More practical to have your food growing as near to your home as possible, and that way then you can just nip in and out when you need to, and you know, do a bit of slug patrolling and stuff like that. Watering, harvesting, very important. So I've got a few plants sitting in the back of the car that I got yesterday that I'm going to be putting in here today, and of course they're flowering plants because I'm just looking forward to having a complete riot of colour and scent and beauty in here. I really want this tunnel to be a place of utter beauty. because it's so near the fairy dell, it's so near the fairy wood, and it means I'll be able to sit in here and just listen to the birds. And this is one of Jack's favourite places as well. He loves to be over this end of the land because he gets to see, to a certain extent he can see the road when he sits over there just by the entrance to the fairy wood. Now, this is the lovely evergreen clematis, and this comes out in white flowers, and you can see the buds are coming through very prolifically. I mean, this is fantastic. There's going to be so many flowers on here. I'm starting to feel quite excited about all of this. And this is the first year, because this little honeysuckle has been in here. Is this the second year or the third? I can't quite remember. It may just be the second year. But it really didn't do too well last year. Because honeysuckles like to have plenty of water and plenty of food. So what I've done, I've banked up lots of compost around the honeysuckle, and then lots of sort of a composting on top to really hold that water. So beginning to see the outcome of doing that, because look how generous this plant is looking now. So I'm going to be putting up, I think, some more little poles or whatever, just to allow it to kind of roam. Because what I want to do as well is the egg chair that I have over on the veranda, I want to bring that over here. I want to make a space for it here. So it's going to be very much in this corner, and I want the honeysuckle to grow above it like a canopy, so there'll be a little bit of shade, which during the heat of the summer will be lovely. It'll just make this little corner that easier and more comfortable to sit in, even during the heat of the day. Also, corners are easier to drape, so you could just drape some light curtains in this corner to shade it as well. So, lovely coffee. Now, when I was redoing the tunnel, you know, I moved all the stones, well, almost all of them, and I was resetting them, and on the back of each stone was, you know, several snails. So what I did, I threw the snails out here, I threw them onto this bed and down there on the path, and the thrush during that really cold spell was coming along. Look, you can see the shells are everywhere. Most of the shells are broken now, where the thrush has come along and eaten the snails, and in some cases taken the actual snails over to a stone or a place where it's easy to break them open, and actually just, you know, broken them open. So that's one of the reasons, maybe the most important reason, after the beautiful bird song, why you should encourage birds in your garden. Because the more life you have in your system, your ecosystem around you, the more balance there is. And when people complain about pests, you know, they're not really complaining about pests. What they're complaining about, if they sat and thought about it, is monoculture. It's where there's an imbalance has happened. Because if you look at nature, away from man, there is almost perfection. Everything is in balance. And it's only when we bring our egos into the systems that the imbalance happens. So we have gardens that are too tidy. We have areas of land that are just, you know, one species only, and so on and so forth. That's where the imbalance comes. And that's where the problems come. And then we've developed this word that we use, we say pest. Oh, those snails are a pest. The slugs are a pest. The flies are a pest. And often I get asked, do you have, mosquitoes there? I have everything here. That's the beauty of it. I have everything here. But nothing dominates the other. Because there's too many. There's too much abundance in the system. The more abundance you have, and different abundance, like I say, not monoculture, the less you have to worry or work at or do, and the more you can simply enjoy. And that's why it's good to co-garden with Mother Earth, to co-create with Mother Earth. And then you get this wonderful balance coming in and becoming more and more generous. The bird song becomes more abundant. The flowers more abundant. The trees, the growth, the moss, the ivy, everything. Everything. The self-seeding. There's the wind just beginning to play about with the door. Oh my word, it's 27 minutes. So I want to say thank you and blessings to all of you who have sent me good wishes and emails and letters, and I've got some lovely donations as well. You know who you are. I've sent you thank yous, and I'm going to be spending any money that I get now on the gardens, on the land. So in many ways it's a way of sharing it all back with you. I just got a letter from the bank this morning to say that my mortgage, I now owe the sum of 9,000, and it will be finished in another, just close this, let me just put a little hook on this door to stop it swinging open. What date did they put on it? I think it's 3 years. 3 years, I think that's it, yeah. 3 years time. So, I was thinking to myself then, gosh, I'm then going to have a little bit of extra money. I'll have to start smoking again and drinking. I'll have to find a use for that. I'm laughing actually, but I'm looking up at that roof. Oh, there'll be plenty of time to get the roof done then. It's a funny thing actually, but most people, when they go into retirement and they're looking at their pension, they're looking at a more impoverished life. For me, it's going to be the opposite, because I've lived on so little for so long. When I get my pension, it's going to be almost surplus to requirements. That was a pretty good plan. Anyway, blessings to you all. Blessings. Have a lovely Friday. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Blessings.